Hello friends, this video on Light Part 4 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So now we are coming to the first and the basic topic of light, that is reflection of light. So it is due to this reflection of light that you are able to see yourself on the mirror, you are able to see the images of so many different objects. So we are able to see all the things around us. So for all of these, reflection of light is responsible. So let us try to understand what it is. Reflection is bouncing back of a ray of light when it strikes a boundary between media through which it cannot pass. What does it mean? It means that light will always come from a source. So any object which is luminous, which is capable of producing light. So light will obviously come from that object. So how will the light come? It will come in the form of rays. Now when that ray of light is falling on some other object, or it is falling on some other boundary, some other object, some other surface through which it cannot go further, which doesn't allow the light rays to go further. So in that case what happens? It bounces back from that surface, and that bouncing back is known as reflection. So just now in the previous example, you saw the example of playing card. Now as long as we provided the holes, that time light was passing through them. But when instead of the hole you play the playing card, so that doesn't allow light. So what happens? Light bounces back. So look at some of the examples or some of the applications where reflection of light takes place. Have you ever seen, if you have ever been near a river or a lake or a pond, and you would have seen that the images of the nearby objects are formed in the water. So how do you have this image formation? So see here, the hill. So there is just one hill which exists here. This one is the image of this hill which is formed in the water. You see yourself in the mirror. So you also see images of so many different objects. So from where do you get, this is just one object, right? But still you are able to see another object in the mirror. So how is that happening? That is all happening due to bouncing back of a ray of light. So let us assume, now what do I mean by different media? Media means anything, any object through which the light is traveling. For example, if light is coming from the sun, let us just a rough example. Let us say this is sun and a ray of light is coming from the sun and it hits an object here. Okay, so this object is an opaque object. It doesn't allow light to pass through it. So what will happen? Light will bounce back. So this bouncing back. So basically you can say that light had struck a surface, light had struck a boundary which was between two media, because this medium was air, light was traveling through air in this case, but after it touched it, this is no more air, this is some object, maybe either wood or it is glass or it is metal or something else. So the two different media, and this is the boundary. So as soon as it had struck the boundary, it was not allowed to go further, that's why it bounced back. So this bouncing back is called reflection of light. Now let us look at some of the important terminologies associated with reflection of light. Now with reflection of light, the first thing that we want to understand is how image formation takes place. How do we see ourselves in mirror? How do we see the objects around us? Those are the basic things that we want to understand by knowing reflection of light. Now in order to understand these simple concepts, we have to be aware of some simple things or some simple facts related to reflection. So the first thing we should know is incident ray. What do we mean by incident ray? Ray, we already know it is nothing but a ray of light. Incident, the ray of light which strikes the boundary or the surface. That means this is that ray which is coming from the source of light, or it is not always necessary that it is coming from the source of light. It can either come from the source of light, that is a luminous object, or it can also come from some other object which is acting as a source of light. Correct? So from wherever the ray of light is coming and it is falling on the surface, that ray is called incident ray. So let us suppose this is a mirror. So mirror is nothing but a surface, because mirror is a boundary which is separating two medium. This side is air and this side is glass. So mirror is acting as a boundary. So this ray of light which falls or which strikes the boundary is called incident ray. The next one is reflected ray. Now as soon as the incident ray strikes the mirror, what happens? Mirror doesn't allow it to go further, so it bounces back. And so the ray which is bouncing back, that is called the reflected ray. So it is the ray which is sent back by the surface after reflection for a given incident ray. That means for every incident ray, there will be a corresponding reflected ray. Third is normal. What is normal? It is a perpendicular to the surface at the point of incidence. What is point of incidence? This point at which the incident ray strikes the surface. That is called point of incidence. So this is point of incidence. And normal is a perpendicular which is drawn to the surface. This is the surface, mirror is the surface, and this is the point of incidence. Right? Now this is an imaginary line, so normal doesn't exist in reality. So even if you try to understand, or if you try to see the reflection of light practically, you will not be able to see normal, because normal is a hypothetical line, it is an imaginary line. So why are we imagining such a line? Because knowing normal, we will be able to tell the direction or the inclination of the incident ray and the reflected ray. So we will get to know the significance of normal in a little while, but normal cannot be seen because it doesn't exist at all. So we have created it in our imagination to help us in understanding the concept of reflection. Next is angle of incidence, that is the angle between incident ray and normal. So this is the angle of incidence. And the angle of reflection, which is nothing but the angle between normal and the reflected ray. So this is the angle of reflection. Now why are these two important? Because these are the angles which actually tell us at what orientation the rays are striking a surface and they are getting reflected. So here normal acts as a reference which helps you to define these angles of incidence and reflection. Now we often denote normal with a capital N, and angle of incidence is denoted as angle I, angle of reflection is denoted as angle R. So basically normal divides the angles between the incident ray and the reflected ray. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more educational videos with a better experience. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for latest updates. Thank you once again.